Okay, so here we go from the beginning. So there are 50 states, 19,495 cities, towns, villages, and about 1.9 billion acres of land in the United States. Did I get that right? I did. So where do we go from there? So my first thing was, I don't like snow. Yes, I'm from Cleveland, but I don't like snow. I don't like the cold. Um, I am a summer baby. Birthday 7/11. I prefer heat. But there's still places that are hot that I don't want to live. So I got rid of Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, North Carolina, Florida. I got rid of DC, California, Oregon, Washington, North and South Dakota, Iowa, Wyoming, and a couple other places. So then I'm down to, I don't know, 30 states. So then it was like, okay, what attributes are you looking for in a state that are good for you as a homestead? So I decided that there were, how did I put down? I think 11 things that I was looking for. Climate and weather, homesteading laws and slash farming laws, raw milk laws, Second Amendment laws, cost of living, race relations, crime, cost of land, income tax, the price of farming supplies, equipment, things of that nature. So after I looked at all those 11 things, I said, okay, I have the criteria for selecting a state. Now I need to decide what states would I consider living in. So then I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of the South. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Okay, but I'm sorry. So I was looking at either Virginia, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. Where else did I pick initially? Maryland. And I even think I said something about Utah. Now, mind you, I've been to every state in the United States except Alaska. So I've been to 49 states. I've stayed there, I've visited, I've dealt with the people on multiple occasions. So that's the states that I decided to go with. So basically what I did was I then created an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, I'm self-diagnosed OCD. So what I did was I took each of those states, and then what I did was I went through each category. So let's talk about each category and everything. Because basically the scoring really is not important to you, because what I need and what you need, or vice versa, what I like and what you like, totally different things. So the first thing we need to talk about is weather and climate. Now, like I said before, don't like snow. So it's very important that I have a warm climate. So, Maryland, Virginia, they're considered like 7A, 7B grow zone. If you don't know about grow zones, make sure you go and check out the Farmer's Almanac. Google it. It's very simple. I might even do a video about grow zones, but it's really not that complicated. It's the average. It's the measurement that they use in the United States as far as your growing ability. So Virginia and Maryland are about a 7A. Then you have Georgia and Arizona and Nevada, which are like your 8s and 9s. That means you just have a different growing season. And although Virginia and Maryland occasionally get snow, I'm okay with 50-degree weather, because if you didn't know, it does get that cold in Arizona and Nevada and in Georgia, especially at nighttime in the desert. So what I did was those those states, of course, from a scale of 1 to 10, I weighed them on the weather and climate. Then I looked at the cost of living. The cost of living in Virginia is extremely high, especially in Northern Virginia. The sales tax is about 6.5, and the sales tax in Maryland is extremely high also. The cost of living in Nevada is extremely high in the areas I would want to live in. The cost of living in Georgia and Arizona, surprisingly, was quite affordable. So, again, from 1 to 10, I scored them on my Excel sheet in that category. The next category was Second Amendment. Now, I'm not going to get into this right, left, blue, red, donkey, elephant. That's not what this channel is about. What I say about Second Amendment is that I like to carry. I am former law enforcement. I am trained. I do think that you should be trained to carry a gun. You should just not go out and buy one and magically now you know how to use it. No. You need to get some training. So I needed to find states where they basically respected the Second Amendment as far as carrying firearms. Virginia, I actually have my concealed carry license in Virginia. Maryland is a little bit stricter than Virginia. You just have to do an in-person training, which I understand, because like I said before, you should have some training before you use a firearm. Arizona is actually very lax when it comes to Second Amendment. Georgia, Nevada, so again, I weighed them 1 to 10 in that category. The next one is race relations. If you can't tell, I'm African American. Shocker, right? So I'm really concerned, of course, with the current atmosphere in this country, and of course the history of this country. You have to acknowledge the history before you can move forward. So I'm looking for, I already know no matter where I go, I'm going to face some type of racism. It is what it is. So basically, scoring for me, of course, Georgia scored extremely low. Virginia was kind of low. Maryland was low, not in the areas I wanted to live in. Surprisingly, Arizona was not as low as I would think it was, and neither was Nevada, which is very strange. But again, you're going to face it wherever you live at. And so it is what it is. The next thing is crime. There's like 3 things I really hate. I hate cheating, lying, and stealing. That's a side note. So crime is important to me because, being a African American female, of course, I will have family and friends, hopefully, where I'm going. But you're living out on acres and acres of land. So it's very important to know the crime rates in the areas that you want to live in. And surprisingly enough, there were certain states that scored extremely well when it came to crime. It might be that it's too hot or too cold to commit crime, or people they have other things to do with their life besides break the law. Don't know. The next thing is raw milk consumption. If you don't know what raw milk is, basically, if I go to a cow, a goat, and get milk without it being pasteurized, that is raw milk. The pasteurization is usually used for, I guess, sterilization of the milk. Actually, ironically, I just recently started drinking almond milk, which is wonderful. I'm not a real milk drinker, but I bake and things of that nature and make breads and everything. So I need milk. Um, and my favorite food is macaroni and cheese, homemade only, not that stove stuff. So it was important to me because I plan on having a mini Jersey, which is a little mini baby cow for milk. And actually, in certain states, it's illegal to actually have raw milk in your possession and or sell it. So that's a problem. Um, Actually, in one of the states, you got more time for having raw milk than having being caught with uh, marijuana or other drugs, which is very strange to me. But neither here nor there. So that was one of the things. Cost of land. Okay, so right now I'm homesteading in my apartment. I have a 2-bedroom apartment with a little bitty balcony. The balcony probably is not as big as my bedroom. My bedroom probably is 3 times the size of the balcony. But I make it work. So having not a lot of land is not a necessity. It's more of a want. And certain states actually allowed you to have more land at a cheaper price. For example, land in Virginia and Maryland is extremely expensive, whereas out in Georgia and Arizona, you can get 50, 80, 100 acres for very, very, very inexpensive. Now, mind you, this land is undeveloped. So you would have to dig a well or have the sewer brought in from the city, which I want to do a well. You would have to have electric brought to the property, which I plan to have electricity. I'm sorry, I'm going to have electricity. And if you're going to do, like I'm going to do septic. So the land is, there's no house, there's nothing, it's just land. But again, 1 to 10, the cost of that land, again, is cheaper in Georgia and Arizona than it was in Maryland or Virginia or North Carolina. The next is income tax. Besides having a homestead, besides having a regular job, I also run a business. So income tax is extremely important. I need to know if I'm selling my goods at the farmer's market or if I'm selling online or even when I go to work and I get my paycheck. And let me tell you, when I first got my first paycheck when I was younger, I literally cried because I went home to my mother. I was like, who is FICA? Like, what is FICA? And why is FICA taking all this money? And all my mother could do was laugh. Like, really, Robin? Who is FICA? That's not a person. But again, side note. So income tax is really important to me when it comes to the fact that not only do I work, I own a natural skincare and I sell at the farmer's market as far as jams and jellies and salsa, etc. Then we have work opportunities. So I would be leaving my current job and going to this state. And so I need to make sure that my field, which is regulatory financing, was very prominent in that area. And all the states that I looked in, they were actually, some of your quote-unquote big hitters were in that state for my field. So, all of them scored extremely well when it came to work and job opportunities. The next is farm legal issues. You have to be careful. Just because you buy land and you own that land doesn't mean you can do whatever you want on that land. You have to make sure that wherever you buy land, that there are no restrictions. For instance, some land has HOAs. Yeah, HOAs is a whole other topic and we're not even going to go there, but I don't do HOAs. You're not going to tell me where I can paint my house and what size my house has to be or how my fence can be. No. So you have to be careful in the areas that you go to when you determine how you're able to use your land. Some land you're only allowed to hunt on or to basically pitch a tent. Some lands don't allow mobile homes, some don't allow trailers. And you think about it, when you buy this land, it's not going to have a house, so where are you going to stay at? Some land doesn't allow agriculture. Some land doesn't allow animals. So you have to make sure that what you want to use the land for is allowable in that state. Very important. So you need to make sure that you check with your assessor's office, deeds, everything. You want to make sure what liens are on the property. You have to do your due diligence in that area. And finally, farming supplies and equipment. Anyone who tells you that having a self-sustainable life is easy and cheap is lying. Lies. When you first start off, the cost is extreme because you have to get all the equipment and ingredients and materials, and it is not cheap. This idea of going off grid and living off the land and all you need is a little bit of money, yeah, no. So you need to know when you are looking at what things cost, and in comparison, things are very expensive in Virginia and Maryland. That's just the way things operate. On the other hand, you are paid more in Virginia and Maryland than you are in like Georgia or North Carolina. So you got to take that into consideration also. So once I've done all that, let's see where I go to. So I had Georgia, Virginia, Nevada, Arizona, South Carolina, North Carolina. And I had some other places in there, but I don't remember. So once I tallied up all the numbers, drum roll, winner, Arizona. Yes, I know that it gets to 115 degrees in certain parts of Arizona. Yes, it snows in certain parts of Arizona if you're in the mountains. I understand that. Remember, I stated in the beginning, I've been to every state. So I know the type of weather that I would be dealing with. But Arizona won. When it came down to adding up the numbers and all these categories, Arizona won. So I'm going to be a West Coast young lady. So now you have to decide, okay, where do you go in Arizona? So once I was looking at Arizona, I took in consideration all those categories, and now I took it on a smaller level when looking at city, towns, and villages. And I came up with 3 cities that I would want to live in. 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken, are in Maricopa County, and the third one is in, I know I'm going to mispronounce this, and I apologize, Mohave, Mohave County. It's a lot of the counties and cities names in Arizona are Native American, which is wonderful, but I will butcher them until I know how to pronounce them, and I apologize. So the cities that I came up with were Wickenburg, Kingman. Kingman is actually an hour and I say 15 minutes from Vegas, so I can get best of both worlds there. So Wickenburg, Kingman, and Wickiup, which is Wikeup. Go figure. So now the fun begins. I have a state, I have some cities. Now it's time to find the land. And I'm probably going to make a whole lot of different videos about that. Because you cannot purchase land, and I'm going to say this again, you cannot purchase land without going to see it. Do not do that. Because there's a lot of criteria that land has to have. Remember, you're digging wells, having animals, all that. So that's where we're at. Until our next video, mind you, this channel is all homestead from my perspective. And right now, I'm in an apartment. So, you know, make sure you tune in because we'll be talking about how to make vanillas and jams and salsas. But I also, oh my goodness, preview. I found some blueberry, blackberry, little dwarf plants so that I could actually grow those things on the balcony. And I'm going to be showing you how to pot them, how to grow them, and so forth. So again, I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you subscribe and like to the channel and hit that notification to every time that I upload a video. And thank you for following me on this journey. And I did have a saying, but I didn't write it down. And it actually was really good. Maybe next video.